the Travel Squad podcast.
We're four friends that grew up together in the same small town.
We followed each other to San Diego, and now we adventure the world together.
One passport stamp at a time.
We're here to share our travel stories and inspire you to go on your own adventures.
Even if it starts with your own backyard. I'm Jamal.
Brittanie,
Kim,
And I'm Dana.
and we're the Travel Squad podcast.
so grab your tickets.
Your passport.
And don't forget your travel insurance.
And prepare for takeoff.
Aloha, travelers.
Aloha.
Welcome to episode 75 of the Travel Squad podcast. Today, we are giving you all the details, squad tips for a week-long trip to the Hawaiian island of Kauai. This is a great time to plan a trip to Kauai. When we went in May, and the weather was perfect. But just make sure that you bring your bug spray.
Bring your bug spray is a great tip. And since we're airing this episode in March, this is the perfect time to book that trip for May or June. There's such a limited amount of information about Kauai out on the web. We found that when we were researching for our trip. And so we definitely thought about that as we were recording this episode, trying to give as much information as possible. This episode actually was originally released when our podcast launched in August of 2019. And since that, the last year and a half, we've had so many questions about Kauai in particular, because like I said, there's not that much information out on the web. So Travel Squad Podcast is the experts.
We actually had so many questions that we expedited our Kawaii itinerary for you guys. So now you can go to our website and get this fully built itinerary of 7 packed days of activities. We include things to do, such as what beaches to visit, what hikes to hike, where to stay, places to eat, and even how long you should spend at each location you visit.
We laugh, we joke, we give all the details of the hikes, beaches, waterfalls, helicopter rides, boat cruises, and of course, the luaus. This will be the first of 6 episodes that we plan to re-release for you guys and have a second grand premiere, if you will. We've grown so much as a podcast since we first launched in August of 2019, all thanks to you guys, our listeners.
In fact, this was one of the very first episodes we ever recorded, and it's still so good for being a first one.
Absolutely. It's one of my favorites. That is for sure. And from our listeners who have been with us since the beginning to all the listeners that we've actually picked up along the way, we love you all so, so much. And it's with that love that we were working to expand the content that we provide for you guys. We're working on new YouTube content, all those itineraries Brittanie mentioned earlier, and so many more things of value to bring to you guys. So please do enjoy this past episode to inspire your trip to Hawaii now that it's open back up to visitors.
So let's get into the episode.
Aloha.
Aloha, fellow travelers. Welcome to episode 2 of the Travel Squad podcast.
We are so excited today because we are taking you to the beautiful Hawaiian island of Kauai.
Kauai is one of the least visited islands, and it is underappreciated. And it's probably because Kauai has a remote feel, has lots of jungle, and only one main highway on the entire island.
Jamal, tell us about Kauai, Mr. History Lesson.
/ geographer.
Mr. History Teacher.
Well, Kauai is known as the Garden Isle because of its lush rainforests that it has throughout the island. Only 20% of the island is actually accessible by trails and by roads. The other 80% is all lush mountains, inaccessible, roads can't be built on it. It's the oldest island in the Hawaiian archipelago, just as well.
I've always wondered how to pronounce that word.
Archipelago. I believe it's archipelago. And it's 5 million years old. So really, really old in comparison to, the big island right now.
Yeah. And Jurassic Park was filmed there too.
Yes, it was.
Ooh.
In fact, the car that we rented was a big rugged car because Jamal thought it would be really cool to go off-roading in such a wild
Well, I thought we would need
location.
it for the mountainous terrain, but in Jurassic Park they had small little Jeeps. We had a big SUV.
But we did go off-roading.
So the four of us took a week-long vacation. It was filled with beaches, hikes, sunset cruises, waterfalls, and just a lot of natural beauty.
And Mai Tais.
Clearly our head is in the right place.
So today we're going to talk to you about what you must do in Kauai, things that you should reconsider. We're going to answer some questions that we received from the week, and we're going to talk about, is Kauai affordable?
One thing you have to know, though, and I'm only saying this because I was under the impression that Kauai didn't have a lot to do, but...
Right. Didn't you want to island hop while we were there, Kim? Wasn't that your game plan?
What am I going to do in Kauai for a week? It's such a small island.
And that's part of the problem. There's not enough content on the web about what there is to do in the island. There's no podcast out there. This is the very first podcast in the world to talk about Kauai.
So we think.
Represented.
And so I literally thought I was going to be island hopping all week.
But there's a lot to do in Kauai.
Yeah, no, you bring up a good point. You know, a lot of people, when they go to Hawaii, they think of the beaches, and there are beaches in Kauai, obviously, but I feel like what really makes Kauai special is just its remoteness.
The other thing too about Kauai is that the water there is the most dangerous out of all the islands. I think the most deaths have occurred in Kauai because the water is so turbulent.
Only on one specific shore, but if you go to where they actually have the resorts and whatnot, specifically Hanlei Bay, the water there is absolutely fine. It's just on a particular area on the Napali Coast, which you can't even get to by road anyway.
I don't know. There was one day that we were snorkeling, and I remember that you and Brittanie you got to this sand island and like a little bit out off of the shore, and you guys were like, Zaina, come onto the island. Oh my gosh, there's a beached whale. And I kept trying to, but the waves were so
It wasn't a whale, it was a seal.
Oh, just kidding. That's a big difference. But anyways, there was a beached seal. And you're like, come see, check it out. And I couldn't get there because
I couldn't get there either. It was treacherous.
Yeah, it's like up, like not even higher than your shins. And I'm like being thrown up against the rocks. And finally I was like, you know what? Screw this. I can't even handle this. And I swam off, but it took a lot of effort to swim off. And when I was finally lying down on the towel, there was blood everywhere because it tore my legs up.
Scratched your leg on some coral and some rocks, huh?
It did.
All right. Well, thank you for telling us what not to do in Kauai.
Just be careful.
Now we want to talk about some things you absolutely should do in Kauai.
So we actually stayed in Princeville, which is on the north part of the island. And we had seen some videos on this really beautiful bath called Queen's Bath. So we decided to check it out. And, you know, they describe it as a small little hike to this bath, but beware, you will get muddy. You will be slipping. You'll be sliding. It's a little dangerous getting to Queen's Bath, but it was worth it. It was a beautiful opening.
It's like made of rocks.
I think it's like volcanic rock.
Yeah, of course, but from a safety perspective, let's not go at high tide, because when it's high tide, that's when the water's going to be up on the rocks and you're more than likely going to slip. But realistically, what it is it's a rock formation that actually acts as a natural pool. So when it's high tide, water obviously gets in and fills it. But when it's low tide, the water retreats and you actually have a pool within the rocks that you can jump into.
Thank you, Professor.
Yes.
I know. But then we should also preface too, like if you're looking up Queen's Bath, you're going to find a lot of people who do say go visit, and then there's going to be a lot of people who say don't go visit.
Don't listen to them.
And that it should be removed from tour guides because it's such a dangerous place. We didn't have that experience.
Honestly, if you're careful and smart, you'll be fine. And Queen's Bath was one of the most beautiful places that we visited while on the island. It was one of my favorite spots. We made it there without any major issues or even minor issues, I'd say, if I can remember correctly. But once we got there, we were like jumping off of the rocks into the pool. And it was like just the most beautiful, fun place that we were.
Very picturesque. And it was just really nice to relax. And because there wasn't waves going in and out, you can just relax, lay on your back, look up at the sun, look out at the water. It was just really beautiful.
It is a popular place to go too. So other people are there, God forbid, if something were to happen. But like I said, realistically, exercise caution and really, look at the reports on when high tide is going to be and not go at high tide. But one of the coolest things that I really enjoyed most about Queen's Bath was everyone's there to jump into the pool. So everyone's watching you, encouraging you, clapping for you, when you get in. And so that made it a really, really fun experience because all these strangers that you're with, they're all there experiencing and doing the same thing, and it's a real nice camaraderie out there.
I was scared. I didn't jump. So Kim took the plunge first. She gave me her camera, and I took her picture while she was jumping. And what is it?
We'll post it on our website.
Yeah. Wait, what is it called? The setting where I just keep holding down so you can get the good shot?
Shutter?
There you
Shutter,
go. Shutter.
yeah.
I couldn't think of it. So I took a picture of Kim jumping in Shutter so she can pick the good one. And then I took Jamal and Brittanie, and then other people started to have me take their picture as well because they realized that I was the chicken in the group. Eventually I went into the water, but it took me a little bit to go because, again, not trying to be like a danger ninja or anything, but they had a what?
Scaredy cat?
Scaredy cat, there you go. I don't know. I couldn't think of the way that I wanted to phrase it. So the only thing that came out was what did I say? I don't even
Danger
know.
ninja.
That would qualify.
Anti-danger ninja.
I was going to say danger ninja would be that you're risque.
Oh, no. Well, I'm risque in other things, but not jumping into the water. But they have a stone where they carve in how many deaths have taken place. Because it's not about being careful. It's about that tide coming in unexpectedly, and it takes you out to shore.
You can definitely look up some YouTube videos and see some crazy things of guys getting pulled out and not being able to climb out of the rocks. But just be careful and be safe, and you'll be fine.
The rogue
and you'll
waves,
have fun.
basically.
Yeah, the
And
rogue
it was actually the
waves.
first place on the way there where we got to see sea turtles in the cove.
Oh, they were so cute.
And whales. Does no one remember?
Oh, they were way out in the
out
distance. That's
and we were able
right.
to see them blowing the water out of their blowholes and spouts. Yeah.
So another must-do for Kauai is Waialua Falls.
Another gem.
It really is a
What
gem.
was that?
Waialua Falls.
I don't remember what it was.
Oh my God, Zaina.
You probably don't remember because you didn't want to swim
you-
over.
Another one where Zaina was a danger ninja.
And
No,
didn't want,
don't listen
and
to
didn't
them.
want to get in the water.
Oh,
No.
we will also post that video on our website.
No, so you really don't remember that? That's basically where we went to the waterfall.
Huge waterfall.
The big waterfall.
How
You
many
park
feet
up
was
on the
it,
road,
Mr. Historian?
And then Kim was like, let's hike down. And we had
So-
to jump over the fence. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh, yes.
the last thing I
Okay,
wanna
gotcha,
do is
gotcha.
hike.
I remember this.
Okay,
now.
so we get to this waterfall. It's, well, what would you say, like 200 feet? 100 feet?
80 feet.
80 feet. Okay. Well, I'm short, so it seems big.
You are right. I was a danger ninja.
Okay, so you're not supposed to hike down it, but everybody does. All you have to do is climb over this little like cement block thing and go behind the fence and you're in. Everybody's doing it and there's not police there that when we were there at least. Not encouraging any illegal activity, but
Let's put it this way. So many people are doing it. I don't know how they could enforce it.
What I really loved about this hike was just the natural beauty going down. Like you're pretty much crawling down on your butt.
on all these like tree vines.
And
You have
there's
to
so
take your
many
shoes off.
tree vines, and that that's what you're
Roots.
grabbing onto to keep steady, and so that you're not falling. But it was just a very natural, beautiful hike on the way down, and it gives you a good workout on the way up.
It's always muddy because the waterfall's just coming on down, so it creates a big mist in the air and it always settles, so it's always muddy. So I remember trying to keep my flip-flops on as we were hiking down, and literally after 2 minutes I said, forget this.
There's no way.
Yeah, it's
so you
better to
gotta-
just not take shoes.
Yeah.
so
you will
how
get
what
muddy
does it like take like about 15 minutes to get down to the bottom?
Yeah, it took us about 15 minutes to get down, and then we had to cross over to like the beachy area so that we could swim.
So it's like a huge like river stream going down from the waterfall,
and the
that you have to
current
get
there was
across.
kind of strong.
Current was strong.
We were afraid to cross at that
The
point.
rocks were like super painful on our feet.
And it was really cold.
But then there was a
Definitely.
shallow
Yeah, super
spot closer to the base of the falls, not where the mouth of the river was, and that's where we all crossed.
Right. And then there's like land that you can post up on. And then we went swimming in the pool, which was so cool. Like one of the most magical experiences, floating and swimming.
When in Hawaii, swim in waterfalls.
And then finally I realized I had to get in the water, so Brittanie came back to get me.
We're yelling at Zaina from across the river. Come on, on, get in.
Danger Ninja.
Major.
Gotta chase those waterfalls when you're in Kauai.
No, I just want to reiterate, when Kim had suggested that, I don't remember how far we were and for our itinerary of the day of what we were going to do, but I just remember like Kim suggested it and I was like, oh my God, what a typical Kim thing to want to do. I don't want to go down there, but the journey down is really, really worth it. Like that was one of my favorite things that we did in Hawaii. Actually, second favorite. We'll get to number one later. I think we all have the same number one.
I think no, we're going to talk about it right now.
It's next.
That's next. Oh my goodness. I thought we were going to talk about Waimea Canyon, but I guess we'll go there.
Yeah. No, so our favorite thing, hands down, that we did is the luau.
What?
I'm just kidding, guys. We didn't
Oh
luau,
my
but that
God.
was not our favorite thing.
Comedy Ninja now.
It was, thank you. It was the Napali Coast sunset boat tour. You guys were so ready to jump in on that. When I said that, your faces were like, is she serious?
Shout out to Kawaii Sea Tours
Oh
for
my God,
providing
yes.
us the best experience ever.
The Mai Tais and the service.
Yeah.
I wish they had a bus to shuttle us back so you can, because they do not let your hands go empty. Like
Yeah.
you are constantly double.
From the
fisting
moment
it.
you get on the boat until you get off the boat.
Well, so just as a little bit of context too, so the Kauai Sea Tours took us of the tour of the Napali Coast. That's what Kauai
Oh.
itself is probably
Right.
the most famous for.
So
scenic-wise.
beautiful.
It's basically, extraordinary sea cliffs. These ones are actually 200 feet high, Kim, and a lot taller, but they're just so dramatic, such vibrant colors.
They look
and-
fake.
Yeah, they look fake, and that's one of the reasons also why there's so few roads and the majority of Kauai is inaccessible is because of these sea cliffs and the mountains that they create. So it took us on the Napali coast for the sea tour. But as everyone was saying, the moment you got on board, every one of the staff was just so friendly. Your hands never went empty with a drink. If you wanted a water, if you wanted a Mai Tai, if you wanted a beer, whatever you wanted, it was always there. So a scenic cruise turned into a booze cruise. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
definitely a good time.
I didn't know it was a booze cruise. Also, real
None
quick,
of us
guys.
did.
Yeah, don't wear a dress. Don't wear a skirt. Wear shorts.
Pro tip.
Brittanie and Kim
Yes.
can attest to that.
Yes.
Yeah, you'll be holding it down in the wind the whole time.
And then you can't have a second drink in your hand, so boo.
Yep. But also, we saw those cute little sea turtles and like the baby ones. And remember, he like stopped at that waterfall and it was some kind of like Hawaiian legend.
Ritual.
Love ritual.
Love ritual, yeah. And so they would put the couples at the front of the boat, and it was right on a cliff, and he would bring the boat just close enough that the waterfall would go over them while they're kissing.
A heavy but light streamed enough waterfall, mind you. But so that's what it is now. It's the kissing for the lovers for a blessing. But what it really was, if I recall his story correctly, he was saying, during the time of the Hawaiian monarchy, that's actually kind of like their version of the coronation, if I remember the story correctly, is that's where they would go to be dipped and then become king or queen.
It was a really like fun experience, though.
Yeah.
We also saw dolphins.
Yeah, we did.
Oh yeah, they were chasing our boat. They were so cute.
Three
They
little
stopped it.
dolphins. Yeah, bottleneck dolphins. They said it was rare to see in that area.
Bottlenose.
Bottlenose.
Bottleneck. Bottlenose.
So yeah, hands down, if you go to Kauai, do not miss the boat tour and do it with the Kauai Sea Tours. I mean, I think it's going to be amazing no matter what, but especially for us because it was day 7 or 6 of our 7-day trip, and we had gone to Kauai right after they had a lot of rain and floods that shut down that part of the coast, so we couldn't see it on foot. We did see it a little bit before that, but this was like the most awe-inspiring moment that we had the whole week, and we waited the week for it.
There's no better place to see it than on the water.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
And for those of you that get seasick like I do, I took half a Dramamine before I got on, like maybe 30 minutes beforehand, and I kept the booze going, and I didn't feel sick the whole night. However, some of the other passengers.
Almost all of
Oh my
them.
gosh! At the end of well, first off, you should know that this was like a 5-hour booze cruise, so it went forever. And then
It's a sunset dinner cruise. 5-hour booze cruise. Yes.
oh, did we have?
Yeah, we got on around we got on around 2.
Don't even remember.
We got on around 2, and then it was dark when we got back.
Yeah. In fact, they were speeding back because we had been out so late. But yeah, everyone was pretty much, all the buckets were gone because everyone was pretty much getting sick. And so if you didn't have a bucket, you were over the rail.
They kept like giving someone a bucket, rinsing them out, and just like running back and forth with buckets.
Yeah.
Except for the 4 of us.
Yeah. Right. In fact, Jamal and I were at the front of the boat. And, when you're on the boat, it's going like thud, thud, thud up against the waves. And everyone's in the back except for me and Jamal. I have one hand on the rail. The other one is waving in the air. Yeah, like, woo, woo. And so finally he told me and Jamal that we have to go back because he doesn't want us to fall over. And then they wouldn't be able to find us because it's night.
Because it's dark, yeah.
Yeah. And, shout out to Jamal because Jamal was our DD. Well, at the end, he sobered up and was our DD, but
I drank for only half of the cruise.
It was a 5-hour cruise.
Yeah, exactly. So I would just say, because they don't have shuttles, although I wish they did, just make sure that you have someone in your party to be safe, guys. 100% be safe, because they will
keep it coming.
sure you
And the
have the
other
time.
thing you should know about Kauai is Uber is not a reliable source of transportation. I don't even know if it's available at all during the day. So don't count on that.
Yeah, so just be safe. Just be safe, guys.
So another must-do in Kauai was the Waimea Canyon, which is kind of like the Grand Canyon of the Pacific.
Having already been to the Grand Canyon, it's not as grand, but it was really cool still. And they had waterfalls there, and just it is like a vast canyon, and it's almost like desert-like, which is so weird because you're on a Hawaiian island.
One thing to know is we did a hike, like we did the big hike there, and it was really cool to be immersed in it because you constantly see helicopters coming above you, because obviously when you go to Kauai, one of the big things to do is a helicopter tour. So by the time we did our helicopter tour, we had already explored Waimea Canyon, and it was really cool to see it from above after being in it.
Yeah. And if you want to do the same hike we did, it was called the Canyon Trail. Imagine that.
Yeah, and it ends at the waterfall that they have right there at the very bottom. Does it not? Yeah.
Pro tip: go early. We're such adventurers, and we wake up before the crack of dawn every single day, and it's just worth it because it's not busy. And by the time we get to the end where the waterfall is, we have it all to ourselves to take pictures. And then next thing you know, the people who woke up late are coming in, and now they're fighting for that spot to take a picture. And so it's just nice to wake up early and have it to yourself.
Just one other thing is, if you're traveling to this canyon or this region, it's only accessible by car from the south. You can't get to it from the north. So if you're staying on the north part of the island, you literally have to drive all the way around the island to get to the entrance on the south side, because what is keeping it from being open on the north is the Napali Coast.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, we were so close to it, but that's why we had to wake up extra early to get there early, is because even though it's right there, you have to go all the way around the island.
Yeah, like if you imagine the road like a clock.
Yeah.
Basically the main road runs from 1 o'clock to 9 o'clock. From 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock, there is no roads for that corner of the island.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So Waimea is actually Hawaiian for reddish water, and it seems to be a reference to the erosion of the canyon's red soil. That kind of creates that. But on top of that, they say that this area is actually one of the wettest places on Earth.
So the last absolute must-do of Kauai is sunset at the St. Regis Hotel.
Beautiful, beautiful place.
We just went to the patio and we got drinks and watched the sunset. And what was that thing they did, Kim?
At the sunset hour, the man comes out there, says, "Aloha!" And everyone's out there. And then he takes a champagne and sabers it right in front of everyone. Every day.
It looks out to Hanalei Bay, which you should also go to, but the sunset looking out onto the water there was just breathtaking.
Yeah, because the hotel is not right on the water. It's on a cliff, so it's overlooking it. So it just makes for a more dramatic scene to watch the sunset. Really, really beautiful from there. But
Yeah.
it is in the St. Regis Hotel, beautiful patio deck to sit out on. You can have the waiters come bring you drinks, as we all had our drinks in hand and just enjoying the sunset.
Get there a little bit early to get a
Oh,
a
yeah.
seat.
Yeah, that's a good
absolutely.
tip.
Because the only seat that we had was, I think someone had thrown up there, and they had like, remember?
Yeah, and they had
Yeah.
to clean it up. It smelled in that corner.
Yeah, it smelled really bad, but it was the only seat available. So Jamal, being the
Swear it's a
gentleman-
nice place.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm just saying
It
that.
was the little kid, though.
Okay.
It was the family with the little kids, and it happened to be the little child who was sick.
Well, we got
okay, there
lucky
we
and a
go.
little kid barfed and we got his spot.
Yeah. So main point about that, it's a very nice place, but just you're going to have to fight for seats unless you get there a little bit earlier. And also, we are from San Diego. And so when we went, people were describing Princeville, where we stayed and where the St. Regis is, as the La Jolla of the Kauai or of the Kauai Island. And here in San Diego, La Jolla is like the jewel in Spanish.
Thank you for that translation.
Our resident bilingual.
Yes.
So now that we've told you about all the things that you must do, we're going to tell you about a few things that you shouldn't do or you need to consider, do more research on before you make that decision to do.
Like they're good, but up to you if you want to spend the time, depending on how much time you have there and what your interests are and
And money.
money.
Yeah, so the first one on the list is the luau. You might remember me mentioning that earlier. This time, I am serious.
This one makes the list for the category we're talking about now.
So the number one thing on our list for this is the luau. And while I was joking around earlier about being the number one favorite thing, I'm not joking when I say this is the number one thing that we think that you should consider whether or not you really want to do it. We paid $100 for our luau, and then we paid an additional $25 each for the shuttle so we could drink to our heart's content.
Because the luau that we signed up for advertised an open bar.
And that it was, but only for a span of about 30 minutes.
While we're also stuffing our face with the buffet.
Yeah. So we got there basically because we're taking the shuttle. We got there, like an hour early, but that's the recommended time anyways.
Well, that's what time they open it up so you could wander the grounds and the gardens before they actually pull the pig out of the ground.
Yeah. So there's a lot of peacocks out there. They give you a tour on their train, their cart, whatever it's called.
And I feel like dinner was really rushed. Like there was no time to really relax and enjoy the dinner and the drinks. It was just buffet style, go get what you want to eat. And if you wanted seconds, by the time you were up there, they were already starting to pack it up.
Yeah, I feel like, there was at least 500 people there.
Yeah,
right?
it was
I mean, it was really, really crowded. So like Brittanie was saying, basically, they didn't have us all go up at the same time because the line would just be too long. So they designated the times for the tables to go up. And by the time, you got done eating, and if you wanted to go for seconds, they were already breaking it down.
Well, let's back it up even a little bit more to when they're pulling the pig out. So we got a pro tip that we can double fist it at the bar. And as soon as they, major pro tip. So as soon as they finished the pig, I don't know. I just remember that Jamal was right behind me. And all of a sudden, like Jamal's like, okay, we got to go to the bar. We got to go to the bar. And I'm looking at him as he's saying that. I turned back to look at the show, and then I turned back. And all of this is happening. I swear to you.
The pig's
in a
gone. It's
split
over.
second. Yeah, well, Jamal's already at the bar. Like, I don't know what happened. Jamal flew.
I want to be first in line.
Jamal was a drinking ninja.
If it's only 30 minutes of open bar while there's food, better believe it, I'm going to be the first in line to get my money's worth on it.
So we were a little disappointed because we were wandering the grounds for longer
Over an
than we
hour.
had to eat and drink.
Yeah. So then the ceremony was the ceremony, whatever. And then I'm running after Jamal to the bar. So you can double fist. You can take 2 drinks at a time. And then we were told, because I think they only had 2 drinks anyways, right? It was Mai Tai. And
Beer and wine.
Beer and wine. Okay, that's what it was. So they told us that, grab 2 of one, put it at your table, and then go grab another 2 of the other one. So we were running back and forth. And I think so we were at the corner of the table. Kim was at the corner. I was right next to her. And then there was a guy, and of course, Jamal and Brittanie are on the other side of Kim and I. And there's this guy next to me, and he looks over at us.
Judgy Judgerson.
Yeah, he looked at us like we were savages, but really, I just think that
I mean, we kind of were.
Yeah, we were.
What was our motto that night?
Fuck 'em hard.
Fuck 'em hard.
Fuck 'em hard.
Good motto to
Something
live
like
by.
that. Yeah, so we just had a table full of alcohol, and we're having like fun. The best. I mean, regardless, we're gonna have fun anyways.
We had
because
fun.
It's us four. Yeah, we're always gonna have a good time, and we're just laughing because we have all this alcohol there. But like by the time we got up to get food, it was so crazy because dinner's almost over, and so then you eat and you get up to get seconds, and it's pretty much cleaned out. Like it is
And
so
they're shutting
rushed.
down the bar.
Yeah.
And then they shuffle you to go watch the dances.
The actual luau.
So we still had extra drinks. So pro tip again, grab a glass for your water and just shove it all in one big glass.
And take it to the show.
So also, just so you know, again, I mentioned earlier that we paid $25 for the shuttle. It wasn't needed. Like, although we're not really joking around, but we're having a good time telling you this, joking about how we just filled our table with alcohol.
We really are responsible adults.
We really are responsible. But two, although we did, it just wasn't, well, one, you're so full so that the food is definitely taking the alcohol out. But it was such a short time to drink. And although we're joking around, you really don't drink that much. You just don't have an opportunity to drink that much. And so although we paid for the shuttle, it really wasn't necessary. And again, going back to that booze cruise that we were on, if only they had a shuttle there, I would do that booze cruise 2 times instead of the luau and the cruise.
So the luau company offers that shuttle. So if you are doing that, that's just something to reconsider if you think it's going to be worth it. In our opinion, I don't think any of us think the shuttle was worth it.
The next thing on our list to highlight of considerations is the helicopter ride.
I was super excited to go on a helicopter ride. I've never been on one. And we did hear a lot of good things about it.
Yeah, they build the helicopter ride as one of the must-to-dos in Kauai simply because that's the only way you could see the majority of the island, is by air, simply because there aren't a lot of roads to it, which it was nice, but it's not all that it's hyped up to
It's
be.
very expensive for what you're getting.
How
I
much was it?
It was like
125 or so?
No,
it was like
it's-
180, $200.
Oh, no, you're right,
a
you're right.
I think it
person.
was almost more than $200
I
a
was just gonna say, I think,
person.
wasn't it like 250?
I'm quoting low end just to not be crazy, but it was at least 180.
It was
probably
definitely a
200.
splurge.
It was
Yeah.
a splurge item, which is fine. We love to splurge while we're on vacation. What is
only
our
there
motto,
once.
Jamal, when we're on vacation? Fuck it, we're on vacation.
I love that motto.
So it was a splurge. However, we only had like 30 minutes up in the air, and it was really beautiful. But the thing is,
It was an
I
hour.
Was it an hour?
It was an hour because I was going to say, I wish it were 30 minutes
Yeah.
because
Yes.
an hour was way too long. Like I was over it. At 30 minutes, I would have been so good.
I also started to get motion sick up in the air.
So did I.
And I started to feel really crappy and thinking like, I can't wait for this to be over. And yeah, it's really beautiful, but we're just going to keep going in circles.
One thing I just want to note too, for anyone who hasn't really been in a helicopter for a tour, is even though you're going with a group of people, you may not even be able to sit by who you want, your significant other, your spouse, because they actually have to weigh you and distribute you throughout the helicopter based on your weight. So I wasn't even able to sit next to Brittanie or anything like that.
I
So,
was.
Yeah, you were. But just for anyone who's going like as a couple, like you may not even
Yeah.
be sitting in the front together. may be
And
sitting on
you may
opposite
get
sides.
some ignorant helicopter partners who don't listen to the directions of not wearing white, because the white reflects in the windows and ruins all of your pictures. Like you should wear, even though it's hot, like cover up your skin even, and don't ruin other people's pictures.
Sounds like you had a story with that. Kim.
Well, first off, I just want to say that when we say consider the helicopter ride, it's not that we're slamming the company. The company was great. The company was professional. They did an awesome job. I think for us, it was just too long. And they did weigh us right at the beginning. And Jamal and Brittanie are husband and wife, and I'm Jamal's sister. And we are tall people, me and Jamal. And so you have to pay extra to sit in the front. But Jamal and I got lucky because we're tall and because we have more weight than others. They threw us in the front. So I know that Jamal's kind of, he wanted to sit by Brittanie. But because I don't care who I sit next to, I was just excited to sit in the front. Sorry, guys.
That's all right.
I wish I could have, believe me, Brittanie, I wish I could have given my weight to you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know you guys felt it was a little bit too long and got sick, but just from another perspective, I don't really get motion sick, so the time really didn't bother me, but it's just the helicopter is something to consider on, and for most people, potentially major splurge, not sitting by who you want to sit with, and potentially paying that much to get motion sick.
Right. It was pretty, but I do not get motion sickness, and I did. And at a certain point, after like a half an hour or so, I closed my eyes and was laying back. And you're on that helicopter to look out, and I was closing my eyes.
I just want to take a real quick question. Whose idea was it for the helicopter ride?
I think we all wanted to do it. Like, I was really excited to do it.
It was definitely my idea. Because I'd never been on one, and I was so excited.
And so she's the one closing her eyes. That's the only reason why I did it, just to give her a hard time a little bit.
Well, I wanted to do the helicopter.
No, I did
I'm glad
too.
I did. Also, I think like we were talking about it after we went on it, because I don't get motion sickness, and I didn't, but I still felt like an hour was just really long. And if we had done 30 minutes, I would have been super satisfied. But I think that they just don't do 30 minutes because you're already paying a premium price for it. And I think that they think 30 minutes, who's going to do it? And truth be told, if I'm going to Kauai and I'm spending that money and I know nothing about helicopter rides, I would choose 60 minutes over 30 minutes based on just, the expectation and the thoughts going through my head. But now that I know what I know, I would do 30 minutes.
One of the cool things, if anyone's a movie buff, is they do take you to the waterfall that they filmed Jurassic Park on, where they land the helicopter when they first get there. So just a little trivial fact for anyone out there interested in movies or that little tidbit. But.
Well, speaking of movies, on the Napali Coast tour, they do show you where Harrison Ford and Anne Heche were when they filmed 6 days, 7 nights.
6 days, 7 nights.
Yeah, Kauai
Classic
is a movie place.
Classic
movie.
But, one other thing to take into consideration moving past the helicopters now is we were recommended by several locals to hike Sleeping Giant, more particularly at sunrise.
How was that experience at sunrise, Jamal?
It was a fiasco.
You guys, we hit 10,000 steps before 7 a.m.
It was a fiasco.
It was a debate if we even wanted to get up at sunrise. Once Brittanie heard amazing view, there was like no turning back.
You guys, if you have to know one thing about me, we are going to hike on every single vacation.
And we're going to get up at the crack of dawn.
There are no easy days when you're with me.
You guys, when you come back from vacation with us,
you need a vacation.
Yeah, you need a vacation. And the day that, even if you go to work the next day and you work 8 to 5, you're still going to sleep in on the day that you go back to work than any day that you're on vacation with Brittanie.
Yeah. So,
your work day will be the easy day.
I know. But, what's funny more particularly is, before every trip we go on, all the girls kind of have like a bet that they don't tell me about is when's Jamal going to have his freak out, because there's some sort of implication that I have a freak out on like every trip. So Brittanie says to everybody else, I wouldn't call them freak outs. They may be just little, I get a little stressed, but I wouldn't call it a freak out. But
So what happened that morning?
Well, we get there bright and early.
Like
not even bright. It's
dark
just
and early.
It's so dark. The only thing we can hear is roosters like cawing in the background on every part of the island.
Yes. This is true.
But yes, I say bright and early as the expression, but it definitely wasn't bright. It was still pitch black. And we are staying on the north end of the island, and we have to wake up extra early because to drive even there is already 40 minutes. Plus, it's estimated to take 40 minutes to 60 minutes to get to the top. So we're there like an hour and a half before sunrise, realistically. And so we start the trail.
Wait.
We did a little bit of research.
Don't forget the fact that you brought the flashlight.
We needed a flashlight. Or did we not? Did we forget it?
I'm going to let Jamal tell that story, but I just want to make sure that he remembers to tell the fact that he brought the flashlight from the timeshare that we were staying at.
Yeah, I did. And it was plugged into the wall, but yet, for whatever reason, when I took it, it didn't turn on, and it was heavy, so I got pretty pissed at the beginning.
That's where it began.
Yeah, I got pretty upset at the beginning of the trail. So I kind of had a little fit about that and threw it back in the SUV. But anyway, Kim and Brittanie had done some research on the actual trail because the Sleeping Giant hike actually has several different offshoots and ways that you can actually go, but to get to the top, there's a certain path. But it's so dark that we can't even see the markers like on the road. And I know Brittanie was really passionate about being up there for sunset because it was really sunrise, excuse me, thank you, because it was really recommended by like several locals. And so we just kept on going and going. And
no, I want to point out that you kept on going.
That is true. Jamal was so far ahead.
The three of us stayed together.
I just want to point out, when I go on a hike, I'm looking at routes. I'm looking at like tips on how to make it to the top.
The map in our hand.
The map in my hand. And so, occasionally we'll miss the markers. And at the point where I knew that something was wrong and that we had gone too far, my husband was nowhere in sight. We are screaming his name to try to find him. We're trying to call him. And he was storming off with his little freak out all by himself. And the three of us were behind trying to figure out, like, do we keep walking in the wrong direction? Is he going to eventually turn around and, like, find us?
I just want to say I didn't start off way ahead from you guys until later. And the later was when it started to actually be around the time of sunrise. And I sped up because you guys
sped up?
Yeah, I sped up and got ahead of you guys because I was determined to find the way up so that we can get there so that we wouldn't miss it. And then I got frustrated when I realized we were going to miss it. So yeah, finally.
Major freak out.
No, major freak out. But yeah, either I don't remember if I got the phone call or I finally heard you guys like yelling through the woods.
Yeah, because I was trying to call Jamal, but when you're out there, there's no reception. And it was pretty, the ground is wet. There's branches. You got to watch your steps. Bugs.
Yeah, so what we ended up doing was actually hiking on the side of the mountain. We did not end up going up the mountain. And then the sun came up and we missed the sunrise.
The sun beat us up.
And that's when we realized we went the wrong way.
But so we did summit. We did summit the mountain.
We turned
and it was
around,
a beautiful view,
came back together.
But because Jamal's attitude kind of was like a killer for that whole.
I just want to say we found the route when the sun was up.
Yes,
Let's
we
put
did.
it that way.
Yes,
because I was upset because it was dark and we missed it. So
and
I apologize.
We were all upset, but we all didn't have a freak out.
Point being, the pro tip is make sure you have your GPS going and find something with a route to make sure that you get to the top, because it's really, really dark and the signs are really, really small, and you will definitely like miss it if you're not keeping a keen eye out for it.
Yes.
Or just don't do it for sunrise. Do it for sunset.
It'd be a beautiful hike during the day.
Yeah, exactly. And because we were up so early, I'm wearing my Fitbit. And yeah, that's why I said we hit 10,000 steps before 7 a.m. I mean, if you want a more accomplished morning, shoot. It was so crazy, guys. So crazy.
We're actually now at my favorite part of the episode, where we're taking our listeners' questions. So we constantly get asked about where we're going, what we did there, what we're going to do there, how can we afford it, and a million other questions in between. So you guys sent us some questions about Kauai, and we're going to go through a few of them. But just so you know, if you ever want to reach us and ask us a question, you can DM us or comment on our Instagram post at Travel Squad Podcast, and we'll answer them on a future episode.
So first question from our listeners was, why did we pick Hawaii over the other Hawaiian islands? And honestly, to be 100% transparent, it was because of our timeshare.
It's a
Jamal
great reason.
and I are timeshare owners. It was gifted to us as actually a wedding gift. And this was our first vacation using it, and we were looking at all of the destinations, and Kauai happened to be on there.
Because one thing you should know about Brittanie, especially, is she's always looking for travel, where to go. She has a list like a mile long of a million places to go to. She's like fully booked through like 30-20, like like just but she will 30-20 but she'll find a way to squeeze in a weekend trip.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We'll have another episode about that, but if you're always looking and you got the timeshare, shoot, let's go to Kauai.
Yeah, so I mean, we can exchange it for whatever places, and we were looking at Hawaii because with the timeshare you got to spend a week there, so we thought, where's a place that we're really content with spending a week? And Kauai wasn't even really on our radar. You think of Hawaii, you think of Big Island, you think of Maui, Oahu, or something like that, and not a lot of tourists go to Kauai, but they had one. The only one that was available for Hawaii for the times that we could go was in Kauai, so that's the reason why we ended up going there.
And then once we started doing some research about the island, we quickly realized it's probably one of the most beautiful islands because of all of the jungle and the remoteness, and it was so scenic. So I was really happy with the pick.
Brittanie, when you told me the price of the timeshare, what did I say?
Okay, so I'm just going to throw this out there, but for the entire week, the timeshare was like $300 a person for the entire week. Per person. And Kim said, "Oh my God, why is it so expensive?"
That was so, there's 4 of us, $300, $1,200 total, right? But anyways, anywhere else that you're going to stay,
it will be $300 a night.
Yeah.
And let me just tell you that we stayed in like a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo with a fully stocked kitchen, had a living room, it had a grill space outside.
A washer and dryer that we used every single day.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So it was well worth the money.
Came in clutch. $300 well spent.
Yeah.
Next question.
What do you do when unexpected things ruin your travel plans?
Oh, we know this one well.
Welcome to the Travel Squad pod. This is our specialty, guys. Okay. First off, the Napali Coast hike was closed. Anyone want to talk about that?
So there was a major rain in April. We actually went in May. So there was a ton of mudslides on the Napali Coast, shutting down the road that we needed to use to get to the Napali Coast hike.
Which is one of the biggest draws of Kauai, is this famous hike.
Now, it's not a hike on the top of the cliffs. It's actually a hike along the beach of the Napali Coast.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And so we had done a lot of research about it. All of us were really, really excited to do it, especially Brittanie, because like she said earlier, hike on every trip.
It did go up into some of the caves.
Well, a little bit, but for the most part, it's not at the top of the cliff is what I mean.
And we
on the
had booked
beach.
this trip 6 months before, so we were really looking forward to this hike.
And a month beforehand, those rains just washed down all that mud. It's not our first encounter with mudslides.
That podcast will be coming later on for you.
Yeah, we'll do a whole episode on the not Big Sur road trip.
Big Sur, not Big Sur road trip.
Right. Because if you look at what happened to Big Sur in California, the same thing right before our trip there. But we didn't let that stop us, and we didn't let this one stop us either.
What did we do instead? We did a second hike in Waimea Canyon State Park, did we not?
We did.
If we had done that hike, though, we wouldn't have had a chance to do that boat tour.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
So everything happens for a reason.
Exactly. And the boat tour was definitely number one.
I mean, I just think you have to realize that things are going to come up while you travel, and it's really important to keep an open mind and take recommendations and improvise to make the most out of your trip.
Yeah, life is really how you react to what's happening. So whether it's a good thing, whether it's a bad thing, just, you got to go with the flow. So
And you're on vacation, so just have fun.
Yeah. And if all else fails, you're in Kauai. Go get a Mai Tai.
So our last question that we received for the Kauai episode is, how do you plan what to do each day?
I'm going to be honest. I think everyone just kind of looks at you, Britt.
So Brittanie and I both, Brittanie does a lot of research before we go. And she's always the one that comes up with all of the hikes that we're going to do, how to get to where we're going. I'm more like, oh, there's a Thai food restaurant. We should go to this bar. And I know Brittanie and Jamal love hakazan, so we always try to hit one of those up.
Isn't that what we did the first night? Go get Thai food and go get those Mai Tais?
We did.
Kim knows what to do, and Brittanie plans it in really well.
Yeah, but I mean, beyond just doing the research, I feel like the most important thing is sometimes people go someplace, especially like Hawaii, they're just like, oh, we'll find something to do, like it's Hawaii, but you really lose a lot of time, and a little bit of planning goes a long way. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do this podcast on Kauai in particular, is because when we started to do some research, we realized, hey, a lot of the stuff that we're seeing is actually like from Hawaii and their own Department of Tourism. Not a lot of people, because not a lot of people actually visit Kauai.
And I actually probably would have done more research looking back in hindsight.
But like we said, there wasn't a lot of stuff out there about it. It was hard.
I think the biggest tip I can give is to really look at the island and the area, the things that you're interested in doing, and try to plan it by location. Because of the one road. So if you know that you're going to do several things in the Princeville area, do them in one day. If you want to visit the Waimea Canyon, do that in another day. Because there were several days where we went to several different parts of the islands. So that would
Backtracked
probably
a lot.
Yeah, and to go around the entire island was 2 hours in one direction. So it really takes a lot of time. So that would be like my biggest tip, is really plan out what you wanted to do and where it's located on the island.
Yeah. And real quickly, sorry guys, just to back up to the question prior, what do you do when unexpected things ruin your travel plans? I think it would be so remiss if we didn't say, when we did the hike, it was like a 2-hour hike, and it was supposed to be over. Yeah. Once you get to the top, you're supposed to have the most beautiful view of the Napali coastline, and it was all gray clouds, and we spent 2 hours hiking to get to that view. And so you just got to roll with the punches. So Jamal took the camera, took a picture of Britt, me, and Kim, and we posted it on social media with, look at the beautiful view in the background.
Roll with the punches.
Roll with the punches.
One of my favorite questions Kim asked while planning this trip was, will we even need a car?
You will need
Valid
a
question. Yes,
And
I
you
can
will
confidently
need an
say.
SUV. Everyone gave me crap because I wanted the SUV, but I mean, it really is mountainous. If you are going to be going to Waimea Canyon State Park, you definitely are going up really narrow roads, and it's definitely useful. And if anybody is going to go and stay in a timeshare, our timeshare provided us with an ice chest.
Yes.
We packed food, we packed drinks, and it's just really hard to fit all that just kind of like in a small trunk with the hiking backpacks and everything else.
The other thing about an SUV is that after having a day out adventuring, you're bound to be a little sleepy. And I took many naps in the back of that SUV, so I would recommend.
Yeah. And, there was one day where we went to, what was it, Secret Beach or something? I don't know what it was, but we were at a beach and it started to rain on us. And we were out in the water at this point, right? So our towels are soaked, our bags are soaked. So we don't even have towels to dry off because this is some hard rain coming in on us. So, we're able to throw the towels in the back of the trunk. And I just felt so bad for the rental. We did not damage the car, but I felt so bad for the rental company when we gave the car back because it was filled with sand and mud, and it was
So why? I feel like they have to expect it.
yeah.
And that was also one of the reasons why the timeshare came in handy, because that washer and dryer were so clutch every single day. No matter what you're doing, you're getting dirty, you're getting sandy. And if you pack light, you can always throw your clothes in the wash and dryer and have a fresh pair for later.
Yeah, another question that a lot of people ask is, is Kauai affordable and how much does it cost?
I'm so excited to talk about this topic.
Kim, you actually documented how much it costed you for the entire
I literally wrote down everything from the flight, the timeshare, the food, the souvenirs, everything. And I actually think it was $1,806. So for 7 days in Hawaii, flights included, that is, I mean, it's amazing.
It could definitely be a lot more expensive, but we did a lot of things for cost-saving measures. One of them, and I just want to reiterate again, the timeshare. Now, I know Brittanie mentioned that we're timeshare owners, but non-timeshare owners can rent at places that have timeshares. So you can get your place set up like it is the condo, 2-bed, 2-bath with a full kitchen. So Hawaii in general is expensive in terms of, just basic gas, food, and whatnot. So one thing that we did is we actually pretty much planned out our meals that we were going to have. We bought deli meats, bread, made sandwiches for our hikes, had dinner.
They had a Costco on the island.
Yeah, so we went to Costco and did all that, and that definitely saved, a lot of money. All 4 of us going in equal on the groceries. Definitely a lot cheaper than eating out, because a meal per person in Hawaii is easily $15, $20.
So don't want to talk up timeshares too much, but
Not an ad. This is just a personal opinion.
okay, with the timeshares, they ask you to sit through a presentation because they want to sell you a timeshare. And a lot of the times for going to the presentation, they'll give you gifts.
Brittanie has a hard time saying no to them, just FYI.
Oh my God, you guys literally almost bought a second timeshare.
You guys, it was just so thrilling to watch Brittanie, Jamal, and the lady negotiate.
Write
this
numbers
timeshare.
down.
Like, it was so, Kim and I were like, what if they ask us about the timeshare? And then in the end, they didn't even look at us when they thought that Jamal and
they
Brittanie.
completely ignored me and Zana, thank God.
Well, we didn't walk out with a timeshare.
We didn't walk out with a timeshare, but we did walk out with $125 of an American Express gift card. And we also got half off on the Napali Coast Sunset Cruise. So Zana and Kim were a 2-for-1, and Jamal and I were a 2-for-1.
Yeah.
So definitely, if you're going to be staying at one, sit through the presentation. It's going to get you something that you want to do on the island, either for free or half off. And on top of that, we got a gift card, and that gift card paid for our gas when we were there.
And let's not forget, we also walked out with individualized coffee creamers.
Yes, we
Very
did.
important.
And some
Fuck 'em
granola
hard.
bars.
And some granola bars. Well, we were at the end of the trip, and it's, about $10, $12 for coffee creamer, and it's just sitting right there because they give you unlimited coffee. So just grab a few.
Any final thoughts that any of you guys have on Kauai that we didn't touch on that we just want to say real quick?
The last thing I want to say about Kauai is that if you have the chance to go, absolutely take it, because you will not regret it. I had so much fun. We had so much fun. And it really is one of the most beautiful places here in America and on this earth.
Yeah. And I just think no matter where we go, guys, us 4, we're always going to have a good time.
Always.
All right, guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed learning about Kauai, and I hope that you are inspired to take this trip too.
Please subscribe to our podcast and leave a review and tell us what you like.
And if you aren't already, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Travel Squad Podcast. Go ahead and slide into our DMs with any questions you may have.
So guys, make sure to pack your bags and grab your passports, because next week we're taking you to China.
China! Woo!